All right. Mr. Sistone won't be here tonight. He's in Florida. Lucky him. I'll go for the approval of the minutes from January 14th. Are there any corrections or changes? No? Any corrections or changes?
But it is cut.
Okay. We'll wait. Oh, she's here. Okay. I'll wait for a second for her. All right, that's all right. Paul, you got any changes in the minutes last month?
No.
No, okay. I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Also move.
Sorry.
In favor? All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. January 14th. All right, first thing is, application for Kristan, Connolly, 403 Garrison. The applicant is seeking a variance of relief from section 175-36B1, which disallows construction of dwellings on slopes that exceed 20%. The lot which pre-existed the current zoning as a separate building lot and conformed to the previous zoning is legally non-conforming. Topography which, when considered in conjunction with the setback requirements imposed by the current zoning, is such that there's no place upon which one can build and avoid slopes that exceed 20%. This has been referred to us by the zoning board, so I'll just read by the planning board. I'll just read the referral letter. Dear Chairman D and board members, the above reference matter came before the planning board for site approval to construct a single-family home greater than 3,000 square feet on certain real property located at New York State Route 403. At its February 21st, 2019 meeting, the planning board granted the site plan application, conditioned upon grant of an area variance from the ZBA to permit construction on slopes in excess of 20%. I've been writing at the direction of the planning board to refer this application to the ZBA for consideration of grant the necessary variance from Town Code 175-36. Particularly, the subject property is currently a vacant lot of approximately 1.5 acres. There is no portion on lot on which a home can be constructed, which would not involve building on slopes in excess of 20%. Under Town Code 175-36, construction on slopes in excess of 20% is permitted either upon a special permit from the planning board or grant of an area variance from the ZBA. Because Ms. Connolly's property does not meet the criteria for grant of a special permit from the planning board, she must apply to the ZBA for an area variance to construct a home on slopes of excess of 20%. I guess, Mr. Watson, you're handling this?
Yes.
Okay. Want to explain a little bit to us?
Yes. Glenn Watson from Beatty and Watson. The Connolly family is here. They hope to build their home on this piece of property. Property is located on 403, opposite that little short, actually called Crossroad, the one that goes from Route 9 to 9, just behind the Appalachian Market. Basically, the story is it's a highly constrained piece of property that pre-existed zoning, and without some kind of variance or relief, we basically can't use the property. We have been to the health department, and we have health department approval. We have been to the Conservation Board and have a wetlands permit. We've been to the state. We have a state DOT permit. I should just qualify that state DOT permit. It's actually expired, but they've told us they will reissue it. They just didn't want us to have an active permit over the winter. So they made it so it expired at the beginning of the winter. And we actually have site plan approval, but it's subject to as the letter stated, it's subject to obtaining a variance of some sort from your board. So I'm going to show you what we have. He's going to yell at me. She's always yelling.
Yeah, you're not by the microphone.
Okay.
Get it out?
I can.
Oh,
Okay.
Club now.
So this is Crossroad, road that goes just north of the Appalachian Market. This is the property. I believe it's about 1.6 acres. What you have is we're proposing a driveway that goes up the hill and comes in to the proposed house roughly in the middle of the lot. Our first constraint is the wetlands. We have wetlands there.
But you got approval on that?
Yes, we do. We have wetlands permit and we have a health department permit. And what they do is they gang up on us. That's our wetlands buffer being added to the map. Then within that wetlands buffer, which is unusual for the health department, but they recognize the difficulty, we have the permit to put the septic system in the wetlands buffer and really quite close to the wetlands itself, but we have provided some protections in the design to keep the septic water from migrating directly into the wetlands. Then we have the thing we're here for next, is we have the slopes over 20%, which is the subject of this application for this variance. And you'll see that as you look at this, the house, you'll see that we've got a substantial amount of wetland, of steep slopes within the footprint of the house. And I think then the next restrictions are zoning setbacks. So really what's available to us is what you see in white. So we're seeking a variance on the wetlands. Our other alternative would have been to move the house back and seek a rear line variance. But this is state park land. We felt we didn't want to go that close to the land. I think that was the sentiment, and I'm a little talking at us. I'm not absolutely certain, but I think that was sort of the sentiment of the planning board as well. So what we've done is back the house as close to the setback as possible. We still have some steep slopes that we're building on, and they're not tremendously steep slopes, but they are there, and so we're seeking a variance to allow us to construct the house over this steep slope area. I'd be happy to answer any questions if I'm able.
I have a question. If you move the house to the right some, you'd be further away from the wetlands buffer. I was wondering why that wasn't considered.
Well, it was a matter of the length of the driveway to get up there, and a little bit it was the most favorable spot on the ground to build the house. I will admit there was some subjectivity to that.
Further back, it would be, I'm just trying to figure out the planning board's thinking, because if you did move the house further back and you got a variance for the rear yard variance, it would be a lot further away from the wetlands.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some rock to deal with, right in this general area, which also makes it difficult.
But what about to the right? It looks like it's the same topography as where you're building.
You talking about where the
Yeah, it's about the same, yes.
So, I mean, that would, if you moved it to the right more, it would definitely be further away from the wetlands buffer.
It would be, but it would increase our disturbance to the steep slopes. And it would make our driveway more difficult to build.
How long is the driveway?
For 300. Just under 400 feet.
And that transverses all the steep slope.
Yes, this comes up. The yellow is the steep slope, and it's on top.
Does the runoff go?
The runoff goes, there's a series of check dams along the side of the road. So what we're doing is trapping pools of water during a storm. So the idea is that they'll hit this check dam. There'll be a big puddle, foot deep maybe. It will drop the solids and stuff, the runoff from the road. It will settle there, and eventually some of it will absorb into the ground, and others will pass more slowly down here. It's being put into a basin here for absorption, and with an overflow system that will eventually let it settle and clean it out itself and then go into the wetlands.
So it all winds up in the wetlands.
Oh, yeah, yes.
On the driveway, it's gonna be, what's the grade, percentage of grade gonna be? Are you gonna have any 20% grades there?
This is the driveway profile here. Maximum grade is 12%.
12%. Okay.
So the location of the house, as depicted on the plans, that already received approval from the Conservation Board,
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
All right. And the other thing, this is just perhaps a housekeeping thing. The street address for the parcel, is that also 425 Sprout Brook Road?
No,
No?
no, this is
that's
Cat Rock Road.
Okay. What is the street address?
Is it assigned yet?
It comes up as 37 Route 403.
Yeah, there-
Cat Rock Road.
Okay,
Cat Rock Road.
I'm 475 East Rock Road.
37 Route 403.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason I'm hesitant is because there's a piece next door and the assessments were fouled up. With this house, piece next door has a house on it, and the assessments were all fouled up. We just gave up a whole bunch of paperwork to get the assessor and the lawyers to straighten that out.
I have a question also. Who is Jean Berg? I mean, who is?
She's the property owner.
She's the property owner.
Correct.
And so.
Let me qualify that. She is the executrix of the estate of her parents who
Right.
owned the property.
Right.
They are the property owner.
And
or
the
the estate
Connollys are.
They're contract vendees. They're purchasers.
Only if they get the approval.
They're
Yes.
purchasing
Yeah.
the property if you get the approvals. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. That clarifies that.
All right. I see that you got everything here. You got the deeds here, and I saw the survey and everything else like that. Is there anything else anybody needs that they would need to? I mean, we're going to set it for a public hearing, but I'm just saying, is there anything anybody think there's anything missing? Huh?
I didn't come across anything I think I needed.
No. All right. And you got the list of neighbors and all like that, right?
I believe so.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw it, right?
I have a question. Did the health, I mean, I know the Conservation Board rules on the wetlands issue. Does the Health Department also weigh in on that?
Yes, we do have a health department permit to construct the system as shown as shown in this area,
In the
which is in the
wetlands?
wetland buffer. But as I mentioned in my presentation, we did put basically it's a dam, to lack of a better term, it goes buried into the ground to hold back the sewage. What happens is the septic tank, if you flush the toilet, it goes into a septic tank. A septic tank separates the solids from the liquids. The solids are captured in the septic tank, and that's why you're supposed to have it pumped out every couple of years. The liquid waste passes into the septic system, and there's processes, biological processes that go on there, but essentially what happens is the wastewater seeps into the ground, and as it's going through the ground, it is cleaned by that process. It's scrubbed by the soil. There's pretty strict rules about the depth of the soil. It's not effective if it went through 6 inches of soil and then went into the wetlands. The minimum it needs to go through is 5 feet, I believe. It's 7 foot hole, 2 foot down on that thing, so like 5 feet. And it has to be 5 feet of suitable soil that's dry. So what can happen with a septic system is if it ages and fails, it can start going laterally, which would be a problem. Instead of going down, seeping through, and eventually hitting the water table, it can start to migrate sideways, and it could theoretically get into the wetlands prior to being sufficiently cleaned. So in order to avoid that, we've put this barrier up. Now, the barrier is not just a surface barrier. It's dug into the ground and buried to make sure that the water
How
gets
far
through.
in the ground is it?
I'd have to look to tell you the truth. I don't know, but it's several feet. It's not 10 feet. It's probably 5, to be honest with you, but I'd have to look. I don't know.
Glenn, get the number before the public hearing.
Pardon me? I will.
Get the
Okay,
number before
sure.
the public hearing.
Isn't this the public hearing?
No, this is just for application.
Oh.
We set the public hearing.
Completeness.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
mine says.
Now, we're just going through here to see if you need anything else for the public hearing. If there's any other information you require. Right. And Conservation Board approved this, right?
Yes,
Okay. You have that in here? Have a copy of it, of
I will.
their approval for
I
the
will.
public hearing,
Okay.
okay? Not
It's
that I don't believe it.
referenced in the, which is included, the planning board resolution granting site plan.
mentions it.
Yeah, I think it was granted on January 8th, 2019. And planning board granted site plan conditional approval pending what this
Conditional.
board does on February 21, 2019.
Correct.
And Conservation Board?
January 8th, 2019.
Conservation Board?
Yeah.
That's when they approved it?
Conservation Board gave a wetlands permit on January 8th, 2019.
Okay.
And then it went to the planning board, and the planning board granted conditional site plan on February 21, 2019, pending approval of a variance from this board.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions or need more information on this? I just want to make a motion that we, for a public hearing on this to set for April 8th.
Also moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, April 8th,
Thank you.
7:30, we got it. Any old business? Any new business? Just one quick thing on the new business. Tara, do me a favor, speak to Greg. You know, like this piece of property here, we could really use signs. Like, you know, a lot of towns and different locations have signs. If, you know, there's going to be a public hearing on something or something like that, you know, have the 2x3 or 3x4 foot signs or something. We don't have any. You know, I think, could he, maybe by next month meeting, he give me a little letter as what they cost, or, you know, what, you know, so on and so forth, or, you know, what wording needs to be on it, and run it by the town board or something like that. Because, like, in this particular area, you're guessing, you know what I'm trying to say? I would be happy to see a sign on it, and so if I went by, I would know that. I know a lot of towns have it, so I don't see any reason. Planning board has them?
Like notifying the public of the public.
Yes, correct. A public hearing on the zoning board. Mr. Watson says the planning board has them, so it would be the same type of thing. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor? Thank you very much.